right, welcome everybody here to Talking Sports with Chris Powers. Yes, I am Chris Powers. It's show number 2. And we are, of course, almost 2 million households in South Louisiana, 3 of the biggest markets in the state of Louisiana. From New Orleans, 89% of the New Orleans metro area has Cox Cable, which, of course, Pelican Sports is on. And then, of course, we're in the Baton Rouge area, about 340,000. And then in Lafayette, 140,000. Also on Allen Cable, in the Morgan City area. Good to have you with us, whether you're watching us on the Cox television network, which is Tuesdays at 11 a.m., Thursdays at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m., Fridays at 9 p.m., and Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. We're glad to have you 5 times a week. You can also go to the Pelican Sports app and watch it on that as well. You can download it on your iPad or iPhone. And then you can also go to the Pelican Sports YouTube page and get that done there, and you'll be able to watch us with no problems. You know, in life, there's things in life where it's not perfect, but that's what we have. The credit scale system, it's not perfect, but it's what we have. My son was about to buy a car, and I told him, if you go to dealership after dealership and they check your credit score will drop. If you don't have enough revolving credit, your credit score will not be where you need it to be. It's not perfect, but that's what we've got. The court system, it's not perfect, but that's what we've got. A judge, he and his wife, her and her husband go out to eat at dinner time. She's in a good mood. He's in a good mood. He comes back, second offense, DWI, probation, don't do it again. But, in fact, if he and his wife get in a fight that night or something's not going right in his life, you come back that day, he throws the book at you. It's not perfect. It's what we have. College football's playoff committee, it's not perfect, but it's what we have. They've got a new system now they came out with on last week, 5+7. 5 conference champions and 7 at-large bids. All right, 5 conference champions. Let's see, we've got the SEC, the Pac-10, the Pac-12, the ACC, oh, wait a minute, the Pac-12 was out. There's not 5 power conferences. There's only 2 teams left in the Pac-12. So what do? Well, that's when you go and you get the Mid-American, the Sun Belt, the American Athletic Conference, Conference USA or Mountain West, and that's great. Look, I went to USL. Back when I went to school, it was USL. Now it's UL, University of Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Love Tulane, love for them to compete. But college football is not made for those teams to compete with the LSUs, the Alabamas, the Texas, and the Texas A&Ms. It's not made for that. You can have a Gonzaga that does it in basketball, no problem. You can have Stony Brook or Coastal Carolina do it in baseball. Not a problem. That can happen. But in football, it doesn't happen because what we told you last week, it's the haves and the have-nots. With the facilities and the NIL money that they can get and all the resources they get, LSU compared to a UL, it's not even close. Tulane, not even close. It's not even close. So, therefore, you're never going to get. Now, I know what you're saying. Tulane, a couple of years ago, won in the Cotton Bowl against USC, but a lot of those players opted out because it was the Cotton Bowl. It wasn't a national championship or it's not a playoff. They opted out. So, Tulane goes in there and wins. And, look, I picked up my phone and I texted everybody when they won. It was an exciting game. That Tulane won that game. I was going crazy over that. I loved it that Tulane won that game. But college football is not made for Cinderellas, period. Bottom line. So when the 5+7 came out, I didn't like it at first because I say, okay, the Power 5 conferences, and then you have the seven at-large bids. So when I looked at it, so that means you're going to have a Mid-American team at number 5, or you're going to have an Athletic Atlantic. No, wait, what? It's confusing. So the media relations people at the NCAA, they do not do a good job of letting stuff out. Now, they did what they released out, which will be number 12 seed will take on the 5th seed, number 11 will take on the 6th seed, number 10 will take on the 7th seed, and number 9 will take on the 8th seed. Okay, so they planned that out. But they didn't say, will a team like a Tulane or Raging Cajuns be the 5th seed? I wouldn't see that happening. Can you see like an Alabama being the 12th ranked team in the college football playoff going to play at UL, going to play at Boise State in the first round of the playoffs? Because the first round of the playoffs, the seeds 5, 6, 7, and 8 will host a first-round playoff game. So, like, if LSU is in that top deal, they will play, like with the 8th seed, they will play at home in Tiger Stadium. So that way their fans don't have to travel to another bowl game. And then the next round, though, that will be when they have to travel. So round 1 is December 20th through 21st. Round 2 is going to be the quarterfinals. That's December 31st, the Fiesta Bowl. And then January 1st, quarterfinals continue with the Peach, Rose, and Sugar Bowl. And then on January 9th, the Orange Bowl, the semifinals. And January 10th, the Cotton Bowl. That's also semifinals. Then on January 20th, it's in Atlanta for the national championship at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So all of that is fine. And by the way, the NFL's not happy with that. And I'll just say to the NFL, get over it. Get over it. Because you took away Thursday night college football games to put your product on, and you used to never play on Christmas Day. You let the NBA have that, but yet now NFL's on Christmas Day. That's just bad. That's just bad. But anyway, so they're upset by that and say, no, we like to play our last 2 regular season games on a Saturday because they feel they don't want to get into rating competitions with college football. Well, it's going to happen anyway, so that's what's going to happen. That college football playoff committee has made their decision, and that's the deal it's going to be, and then it's going to eventually go to 14 teams. So what I don't like about this is one thing. When you're in college basketball, 68, if you don't make the 68, then it's on you. You don't deserve to be there. There's no real big complaining. There's a few teams of bubble teams. Hey, this team should have made it. That team should have made it. College baseball, 64, same thing. But when you got 4 or you got now 12, the microscope gets way bigger for you now. That microscope will get huge for you now because just like what they did this past year, that made it huge. They got criticized so much, got death threats. Committee members got death threats. Now, I don't believe in doing death threats or anything like that, but let me tell you, what I didn't like about it is the way they move things around. It may be the right process, but the way they did it was not right. It made it seem like it was cheating or favoritism because they affected 4 programs. They affected Georgia. Georgia lost 1 game, and they lost in the SEC championship game by 3 points. Then you got Ohio State was there ahead of Alabama. You got Florida State that was ahead of Alabama. And you got Texas Longhorns that were ahead of Alabama. But the problem is, so then you have to move to justify to put Alabama in. You got to put Texas in at number 3 because Texas beat Alabama earlier. So that's 2 spots that were taken there. Florida State probably not should have been there because of their quarterback. Then I had a million opt-outs. I understand that. But when have you ever seen a Georgia team that was number 1 and had 2 seasons of unbeaten record in regular season get moved all the way to where they're going to get out just so we can move Alabama in? Or what about Ohio State? So if you thought Alabama was better than the 8th seed, then why'd you have Alabama number 8 anyway? Why wouldn't Alabama like 7th or 6th if you thought they were better? They lost to Auburn. They barely beat Auburn on the last play on a 4th and 100 yards. They barely beat Auburn, who LSU pistol whipped them all over the field. They lost to New Mexico State, Auburn did. That was not a good team. And don't tell me about a rivalry. That's one thing. It's to be close, 10-point rivalry, what have you. But to barely win the game on the last play, Alabama was not a good football team. I mean, they were better than LSU because LSU had defensive problems, I understand. Everybody had them losing 3 games. I did too. They lost 2 games at the end, but 1 game total in the regular season and won the SEC championship. And it's solely because I do believe that Georgia was intimidated by them, and so was Michigan. Did you see when the selection show happened, when Michigan found out they were playing Alabama? Did you hear come on. Are you kidding me? Grow some, would you? That's unbelievable. For you to be that scared, just intimidated because it's Alabama, which I think is gone now because Saban's gone. But anyway, I think college football is better than that. They got to be better than that because they're the 2nd-ranked sport there is in all of sports. NFL's number 1, and NFL's here, and college football's there. Because in the NFL, there's no committee that tells you who makes the playoffs. There's no this and that. Oh, we moved that to move this team and that team to move that team. There's none of that. There's no guessing. You do this and you do that. At the last game of the regular season, you know if your team's going to make it or not. If this team wins, that team wins, you win, and all that stuff. You know. There's no committee that makes up. They got to get that out. College football is just too damn good and too fun to watch to have this many inaccuracies as far as the policies go. It's got to come out. It's got to come out. They got to take that out. And notice this. Another thing that the NFL does. NFL trademarks Super Bowl. Unless you are the network that's covering the Super Bowl, that's carrying the Super Bowl that year, you can't say Super Bowl. Nobody can say Super Bowl. If you see a billboard, you'll see, hey, this weekend's big game specials are this from this store because it is copyrighted. But in college football, it's not. The national championship's not copyrighted. So there's so many unclaimed national championships out there, it's not even funny. Alabama has more than what they have, considered by AP poll or the BCS or what have you. And same thing with Auburn. Remember, Auburn went undefeated in the early 2000s? They claimed they were the national champions that year. UCF did it recently. And I guarantee you, Florida State would have beat Georgia in the Peach Bowl. Florida State would have claimed they were the national champions that year, last year. NFL don't do that. You don't hear somebody say, oh, yeah, but we won the Super Bowl. We really did win. We should have won the Super Bowl. Nobody says that because, again, it's done right, and that's the way it should be done. All right, when we come back, we're talking – it's not too early to talk about SEC football, who the have-nots and who is going to make it, we think, and who everybody's got making the playoffs. It might shock you. We'll do that coming back as we continue to talk sports right here on Pelican Sports TV, Talking Sports with Chris Powers.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton & Fouger. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton & Fouger today.
We already know that TJ Ribs on Acadia and I-10 is home to the world-famous baby back ribs. But did you know they're also champs in catering events and the most delicious wings in Baton Rouge? TJ Ribs wings are flavored to perfection and starts a party in your mouth. Served with homemade wing sauce and ranch dressing. TJ Ribs can also cater any event, large or small, with the MVP, the Heisman, or even if you're feeling the Natty Package. Call 225-283-1035. Come enjoy a drink at the 50-foot bar and take a picture with the Heisman Trophy at TJ Ribs, a Baton Rouge original for over 30 years on Acadian and I-10. The 52nd Annual Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival is just around the corner, and the fun begins on Saturday, March 23rd for the Julian Dufresh Strawberry Day in the Park. There'll be a wing cook-off, car show, strawberry auction, bake-off, and more. Plenty of fun for the whole family. Then, the 52nd Annual Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival runs from Friday, April 12th to Sunday, April 14th with live music, and the parade is on Saturday, April 13th. Get involved in the egg toss and the always popular strawberry eating contest. Of course, get the best strawberries in the world, grown by local farmers. The biggest festival in the South, the 52nd Annual Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival, April 12th through 14th. We'll see you there.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Talking Sports with Chris Powers right here on Pelican Sports TV. And, of course, want to thank our great sponsors. We've got Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival. That's coming up real soon. That'll be coming up in April. Can't wait for that. If you've never been, you've got to go, and we'll tell you a secret route to get there, to be able to get in the back way, because I-55 does back up if you're heading south towards New Orleans. Oh, my goodness gracious. It's like going to a Saints game or an LSU Tiger game on a Saturday or a Sunday. Also, too, we've got our friends at TJ Ribs with delicious food that they've got right there. The catering is unbelievable. Jonathan asked, hey, we're going to have food every week? Here, come on. We got to have food every week here. I'm not going to eat breakfast if we're going to get ribs like that every week. Are you kidding me? But no, thanks to them. They're a great sponsor of the show. And, of course, our friend, Attorney Tony Clayton. If you need something straightened, you call Attorney Tony Clayton. Well, most experts, if you want to call it, have 4 teams that have a chance to make the college football playoff of the SEC next year. That's Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and Ole Miss. Some say, of course, Missouri and LSU is 5 and 6. Let's take a look closer at that and find out from each team what do we think is going to happen. Now, let's take a look at the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia at number 1, I can see that. They've got the returning starting quarterback back. Most of their team is back. How about this? They have the 6th hardest schedule in the SEC coming out, and that, of course, is compiled by the opponents they're playing this year, what their record was last year. They have the 6th hardest schedule. They have the Clemson Tigers in Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium to start the season off. They've got to go to Alabama. They've got to go to Texas, and they'll have Tennessee at home. Georgia is ranked 5th in returning starters, but get this, with the transfer portal, they have 16 players on their team coming back this year that have started in a game in college football, either for Georgia or another team that is transferred in. They are loaded. Georgia has a very good chance to do it again, but again, they do have to go to Texas, and we all know, hey, they got beat by Alabama in that SEC championship game, so it can't happen. Sometimes the best team on the field does not always win a game. How about the Texas Longhorns? They rank 2nd in returning players and 14th easiest schedule in the SEC. They have Michigan. They got to go to Michigan. That'll be interesting to play at Ann Arbor. But again, it's not going to be the same Michigan team, but they're the defending national champions. So they go to Michigan and Texas A&M. They have home games with Oklahoma, and of course they host the Georgia Bulldogs. Well, that's going to be big for Texas this year, and we'll see how Sarkisian will do with this football team that made it to the playoffs last year but got beat by Washington in the Sugar Bowl. Alabama. Now, a lot of people, I think this shows you how this media, the Paul Feinbaums and all those guys, Alabama over the past. Alabama over the past are going to be good. But are they? Let's find out. Alabama has the 4th toughest schedule this year in the SEC, and that's, again, opponents from last year are ranked 91 and 55. That was their record, opponents' records last year, 91 and 55. That puts them as the 4th hardest schedule in the SEC. They, of course, will host the Georgia Bulldogs, South Carolina, Missouri, and Auburn, all in Bryant-Denny Stadium. Now they have to go on the road, though, to LSU, Wisconsin, Oklahoma. All those games will be on the road. And like a friend of mine said, hey, Wisconsin's not going to be an easy game for them to go win. And, of course, they go to Tiger Stadium at LSU. We all know what happened last time. Now, what about returning starters? They are 15th in returning starters. 15th. They have 5 returning starters on offense and 4 on defense. And that's just now. Wait till after the spring happens. There might be some more players that get out of there. They lost more players on this team than LSU did in the 2019 National Championship team. Remember when everybody mass exited out? Alabama lost more players, and Alabama's got a whole new coaching staff. And then their offensive coordinator at the last second decides he's gone, and now they had to get a new guy. So, like I said, Alabama, I think, I said 3 losses last year. I think it would be 3 losses this year. It's got to be. There's no way they could continue to compete. Milroy, though, the quarterback, is so good. He's so deceptive when you don't know if he's going to run or not or pass the football, and he's got a good arm on him. I don't think he's as elusive as Jaden Daniels, but he's good, and he's bigger than Jaden Daniels, thicker, that he could bring in 1 or 2 extra victories for you because of him. But how healthy will he stay all season long? So let's look at the Ole Miss Rebels now. Ole Miss has the 13th hardest schedule in the SEC. Wow, that would almost favor them. They've got games with Kentucky, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Mississippi State at home. At home, and they do not play Alabama. They do not play Alabama. And that's something that Lane Kiffin has never beaten Alabama. So on the road, they play LSU, Florida, South Carolina, all on the road. Now, they rank 10th in returning starters, but, folks, they got a lot of transfers in. This team is loaded. But here's a big but on this. Lane Kiffin blows games, 1, 2, or 3 games a year. At least one game he's used to blowing. What means by that is he makes crazy decisions on the field. for instance, a 4th down and 1 at his own 30-yard line, they don't get it, guess what? The opposing team's already in field goal range. Why would you do that? Punt the football away. I believe I'm old school. If you don't get past the 50-yard line, you punt the football. Period. Bottom line. So get this. A friend of mine, and I'll say this, and I've talked to the guy, Matt Moscona. He's on 104.5. Loves Lane Kiffin. Thought Lane Kiffin should have got the job here at LSU. And I told him, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. You know why? Lane Kiffin is 95-49 in college football as a head coach. 95-49. Guess what? That's a 66 winning percentage. He's won 66% of his games. He's won 2 conference championship games at Florida Atlantic. That's it. At Tennessee, obviously he left early. He didn't win one there. At USC, he hadn't won one at Ole Miss. He didn't win anything at the Raiders. This guy's not a winner. I mean, this guy always does something that's stupid. He's got a good offensive mind, and he's a good offensive assistant. But when it comes time to head coaching, Saban outcoached him every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Every day of the week and twice on Sunday. That's just the way it is. The numbers don't lie. He's 95-49. That's 66 winning percentage. Period. Missouri. Missouri ranks 3rd in returning players and 16th. They have the easiest schedule in the SEC. They have games at at Texas A&M, at Alabama, and South Carolina. They have home games with Auburn, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. So they seem to really look good. Now, will they have 2 in a row? Well, obviously lost their defensive coordinator to LSU and a couple of defensive staff members to LSU. So how will Missouri look? Let's take a look at LSU. Brian Kelly said this week that LSU returns 10 out of 11 players that played on defense last year. Whew, that's good, because of the simple fact is that their defense was just out of it. I'm going to talk to people as we get closer to the season on the football. Were those guys just inexperienced and just out of line? I mean, just where they weren't had the right positions, or were they just not good players, or was it a coaching scheme? Was it Matt House's fault? I seem to think that it was inexperience. You have a lot of those guys that were young. They only had 4 returning starters in last year when they came into the season. 4. With all the injuries out, I think they ended up with 2 or 1. Obviously, Perkins Jr. was 1. And that's it. Everything else, they've got hurt. So the Tigers rank 8th in return starters, 11th on strength of schedule, with opponents combined in 2023 of 81 and 63. So check this out. They play USC in Las Vegas. Marty, you and I are going to Vegas? I want to go. I'm going. Let's go to Vegas. Let's have a road trip and do it a press pass where we go to Vegas and do that. Alan will pick up the tab, won't he? Yeah. Alan says yes. He'll pick up the tab, the hotel's tab. We'll stay at the nicest hotels in Vegas. We'll go out. We'll get press passes and all that kind of good stuff. We'll have fun. But how would you like to be a season ticket holder at LSU this year? Are you kidding me? UCLA coming for the first time ever to Tiger Stadium. Oklahoma coming for the first time ever to Tiger Stadium. In fact, it was weird. Oklahoma's only played LSU 3 times. They're 2-1. LSU has won 2 games in a row. They played in 1949 in the Sugar Bowl. Oklahoma won that game. Then remember in 2004 Sugar Bowl, LSU won the national championship by beating Oklahoma, and the Peach Bowl in 2019 where they pistol whipped them all over the field in Atlanta. So they've only played 3 games against Oklahoma. But so now you see it. They got Alabama coming in. You got Ole Miss coming in. Those are all home games. Are you kidding me? It'd be unbelievable to have a season ticket pass this year for LSU. Now, road games, they've got to go to South Carolina, Arkansas. We all know, I don't care who the coach is. I don't care who the players are. When you play Arkansas, LSU always struggles. They got to go to A&M, and it could be a trap game when LSU goes to Florida towards the end of the season. So there you go with those teams right there. Where do I think they're going to stand? If again, it's hard to say because they got Nussmeier at quarterback. I think he's going to be good. He's got an unbelievable arm. If he can just go on, not like a Brett Favre, where Brett Favre I can feel I can throw the ball in this circumference. because I've got a great arm? No, you get it intercepted half the time. So don't do that. Just be smart about it. If they get him playing right and get him smart about it, I think Nussmeier will be a good quarterback. He's got good wide receivers coming back, question at the running back spot, and, of course, they've got great offensive line. So if you had to put a gun to my head and say, okay, Chris, tell me, who's going to be the best in the SEC? I'd obviously say it's Georgia, number one. I'd say Texas at number two because they have the most returning players and experience of quarterbacks too. I have to say Ole Miss at number three, but again, we don't know what Lane Kiffin's going to do. At some point, Lane Kiffin could do something dumb, and I think he will. And I think LSU would be four. I don't think Alabama will be there, and I don't think Missouri may be there. I mean, they might, but again, just don't know about that. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's why the ULs and the Tulanes I don't think belong in the big college football playoffs because of the fact of who they play. Look at all these teams I just told you about, the SEC teams. They play big-time schedules where Tulane and UL don't. So the College Football Committee wants to put you in the college football playoffs when you play Tennessee State, when you play a McNeese State or this or that. And that's not just one game. You play several games that way. Or I'm going to play Houston Baptist or whatever. Come on, give me a break. Are you kidding me? Where the SEC plays tough teams like this, the Big Ten plays tough teams, the Big 12, the ACC. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not picking on the Raging Cajuns. I went to UL. It was USL when I went, way back when Jesus and I went to the same class together. But the thing about it is, it's like they don't play the tough schedules. So that's the problem that I look at with there, and that's why I don't think they belong. All right, coming up, some things happened last week that we have to talk about. We'll tell you about what we think about each of those things coming up right here as we continue to talk sports right here on Pelican Sports TV. This is the show that we're going to bring to you what's going on in Louisiana. We're going to talk about it, break it down, and everything like that. And it's all right here every week right here on Pelican Sports TV. What am I doing?
The 52nd Annual Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival is just around the corner, and the fun begins on Saturday, March 23rd for the Julian Dufresh Strawberry Day in the Park. There'll be a wing cook-off, car show, strawberry auction, bake-off, and more. Plenty of fun for the whole family. Then, the 52nd Annual Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival runs from Friday, April 12th to Sunday, April 14th with live music, and the parade is on Saturday, April 13th. Get involved in the egg toss and the always popular strawberry eating contest. Of course, get the best strawberries in the world, grown by local farmers. The biggest festival in the South, the 52nd Annual Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival, April 12th through 14th. We'll see you there.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton and Fouger. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouger today.
We already know that TJ Ribs on Acadian I-10 is home to the world-famous baby back ribs. But did you know they're also champs in catering events and the most delicious wings in Baton Rouge? TJ Ribs wings are flavored to perfection and starts a party in your mouth. Served with homemade wing sauce and ranch dressing. TJ Ribs can also cater any event, large or small, with the MVP, the Heisman, or even if you're feeling the natty package. Call 225-283-1035. Come enjoy a drink at the 50-foot bar and take a picture with the Heisman Trophy at TJ Ribs, a Baton Rouge original for over 30 years on Acadian and I-10.
Hope that one day they will, but we're going to talk about that too, but the Saints are doing later on in the show and what they've got to do to change that. Southern University hires Fred McNair at Southern University. How about that? Fred McNair was the head coach of the Alcorn State Braves. He won a couple of championships there, SWAC championships, and he won a couple of Eastern divisional titles in football there. So this is what Fred does. Fred says, okay, I want to try and see, I want to make more money. Alcorn's not coming off more money. So I want to go and see Texas Southern. Maybe they might, because they have an opening. Would you be able to pay more money? Well, the AD said, yeah, we'll pay you more money. I want you here. We want to win championships here. So we want to bring Fred here. Well, Alcorn finds out about it, then offers Fred a little bit more money. And Fred said, okay, now Texas Southern, what do you got? And then when they did that, Alcorn said, you know what? Bye. Catch you later. Bye, Marty. You got to go, Marty. I'm bringing in somebody else now. And they brought in one of his assistants. So Fred McNair said, okay, well, I'll get the Texas Southern job. Well, the problem is the Texas Southern board did not want Fred McNair. So he's out. He's got no job. So maybe I got a shot at Florida A&M in Tallahassee, Florida. They didn't want him either. And he's a good coach. So then he comes to Baton Rouge, and he'll be the special teams coach at Southern University. That broke on Friday, made national news everywhere. Could help you, could hurt you. The thing is, could help you. Obviously, you've got another mind that's been a head coach before. He's a great offensive guy. He obviously was a successful quarterback at Alcorn as a player. And as a coach, he was successful. It could help you in that situation. Or it could hurt you because he's undermining you. Hopefully, it will not be the latter of the two. Probably not. Graves knew better if that was the case, and Graves hired him over. So Fred McNair joined Southern University. Congratulations. Can't wait. We'll talk to him coming up. Southern lost heartbreakers to Grambling, and Marty and I just talked about that. They battled Grambling for first place in the SWAC at home at the F.G. Clark Activity Center. The place was packed. Everything was looking good, and Southern lost the game, and they've got swept by Grambling for the year. They lost at Grambling, and now they lost at Southern, which means that Grambling has a one-game lead over them, but really they have a two-game lead because Grambling now has to lose 2 games for them to go over Grambling for the number 1 seed in the tournament with only 4 games left to play. So it looks like Grambling will win the regular season title unless Grambling falls off the face of the earth. So Southern took one on the chin. Now they just got to hope to fight for that number 2 seed in the tournament. You want that number 2 seed because then if you win, take care of your business in the tournament, and Grambling takes care of their business, then you would play them in the championship game there in Birmingham, Alabama. LSU basketball, after 2 wins over top 20 teams, the Tigers lost to Mississippi State by 20 on Saturday. They have 4 games left to play as well there before they get to the SEC tournament in Nashville, Tennessee. Now, the rest of their opponents that LSU plays has losing records, so they have a shot. They have a shot to do a little bit better to get them a higher seed in the tournament in Nashville, Tennessee coming up. The Lady Tigers played Tennessee on Sunday, and they won. It got a little close to the end, and then they won. I'll say this about LSU. They need to work on layups. Now, the only thing about it is I'll say this, that the reason why women's basketball is not as good as men in layups, even though I watched Southern do a lot of missed layups on Saturday, is because of the fact they can't get high enough to where it drops it right there in that cylinder, right there near the rim. So when you're taking a shot underneath the goal, it has to go straight on that cylinder. It has to hit that cylinder and go straight in. But when you're hitting it and it bounces off, you're doing it too hard or what have you, it bounces off the rim, and that basketball does bounce high off that rim, and it's out. It doesn't go in. LSU missed so many layups in that game against Tennessee. So they were out by 1, and then all of a sudden they showed their athleticism and their experience, and they separated themselves with the Tennessee Volunteers. So LSU will be the number 2 seed in the tournament probably coming up if they win the rest of their games. They've got 2 games left. That's it, 2 games before March Madness begins. And their last game will be on March the 3rd. That's a Sunday at home against Kentucky. And like we were told last week by Reed Darcy, the beat writer for LSU and for The Advocate, he says that basically they've almost got to win out on the regular season to host that first round of the playoffs. And they want to host the first round of the playoffs. If they do that, then LSU have an advantage, and then they'd go to the quarterfinal rounds the Sweet 16 and could play or the semifinals, and then would play the number 1 seed if they finish the number 4 seed. So it's a battle between if LSU is going to be the 4th or 3rd seed. Say they win the SEC tournament, there's a good chance they could be the number 2 seed in the tournament. Just so early to tell. LSU baseball went 3-1 this weekend, and guess who beat them again? Stony Brook. Stony Brook beat them on Friday. What in the heck is up with Stony Brook? Different team, different coaches, everything. But they beat them 5-2. So what does Stony Brook do? Stony Brook puts a video out on social media and shows them beating LSU and all that stuff and just trolling LSU. Okay. So LSU wins on Saturday. The LSU plays again on Sunday against Stony Brook and got off to a 10-0 lead just like that. Then 18-10 was the final score. Destroyed Stony Brook. Don't poke a tiger. Don't put a tiger in the corner, brother. It ain't going to happen. And that's exactly what happened because Stony Brook got killed. And LSU is a better team than that. LSU, again, don't worry. It's still pre-SEC games. Even in the SEC, don't worry. When they get close to the SEC tournament and they get close to the NCAA tournament, they'll be just fine like every year. They'll probably make Omaha again. Will they make a good run for the NCAA tournament? We'll have to see. But LSU goes 3-1 on this weekend, and they are 7-1 overall. LSU announces renovations coming to Alex Box Stadium. The dugouts are on the side. Will now go to outfield, under the bleachers. That's a new move they're putting out there. Jay Johnson wanted this as soon as he walked in the first time to Alex Box Stadium. Jay Johnson wants where the dugouts are. He wants tables and chairs there. So I can see Alan, Jonathan, Marty, and I all sitting up there drinking a beer, enjoying that, and then we get dinged in the head with a baseball because you got to be watching it. You got to be paying attention in college baseball. That baseball will explode off that bat like it's 130 miles an hour. But no, they're going to put tables and chairs out there and let people – okay, that's fine. Maybe they may put a safety net there. I don't know, because you can't be sitting there enjoying your favorite beverage and cutting out and talking, and all of a sudden Allen gets hit in the back of the head. It might help his mentality go. But other than that, you got to be careful on that because but that's going to be the new thing now. So it will start right after the season is over. After the regular season over, construction will continue. It's going to add a few more seats into Alex Box Stadium now, so it'll be fun. Alex Box Stadium is such a fun place to watch baseball anyway. It really is. You got to go by and see it. All right, now I've been saying this to my friends a long time, and they don't listen. They're all, Chris, you're just over-exaggerating. I played the game. I played organized football, and I played organized baseball. Never played organized basketball. But I'll say this. The players don't belong in the stands, and the fans don't belong on the field or on the court. Ever, ever, ever. And it finally happened. So earlier this year, Caitlin Clark is running, and she runs into a fan. What if she'd have broke her collarbone? Didn't happen. So Kyle Filiposki, who is a Duke All-American, was going off the court, and the fans came in, and they made him sprain his ankle. He sprained his ankle. He's an All-American. You got 4 games left. That coach does not know if his player is going to be back for the tournament, for the ACC tournament. Don't know. Has no idea. What about the NCAA tournament? Ankles are depends on how bad the sprain is. You don't know if he's going to be available or not. Fans don't belong on the court, and they don't belong on the football field. Look, I'm telling you, as a football player, the fans spit on you. If you're opposing team, they spit on you. They try to punch you. They try to hit you. They talk about your mama, talk about your girlfriend, talk about everybody. They don't belong on the field. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I'm telling you, if that would have happened to me as a football player, gives me an awesome opportunity to knock your lights out, and I will. I guarantee you they're going to carry your behind out on a stretcher. It's coming. You don't belong on the field. It don't happen in the NFL. It don't happen in the NBA. It don't happen in Major League Baseball, and it should not happen in college. That's football. So guess what? For LSU storming the court the other night, hey, that's great. It was. McMahon was happy. Everybody was happy. $100,000 fine from the SEC. $100,000. Guess where that money goes? It goes to Kentucky. Guess where 2 years ago Alabama LSU with a crowd, stormed the field. That money went to Alabama. Alabama says, hey, thanks. LSU's contributing to our fund. Thank you. I knew LSU loved Alabama. Yeah, that money goes to the opposing team. Or the NFL, the money goes to charity. But to college and the SEC at least, it goes to the opposing team. So Kentucky is getting a $100,000 paycheck. Thank you. Appreciate it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I don't know if that's the way the ACC is going to do with the Duke and Wake Forest. I just don't agree with that. I don't think you need to be on the court or on the field. The Pelicans have had enough of Stephen A. Smith. That's one thing, Stephen A. Smith, to talk about this and that, and I agree. Okay, so you can talk about this and that, but when he takes it personally, he says that, he takes it to the next level. Zion Williamson, he'll be a better player when he stops going to McDonald's. He'll be a better player when his chefs are mad at him because he don't go eat their food. So he gets personal like that. So the Pelicans have had enough. So they put on social media his college days, which nobody's knowing if he really played college or not, at Winston-Salem. Then also a bunch of other things that goes on. Like, for instance, a couple times before shoots, he gets on a basketball court coming off of the screen and tries to shoot the shot. It don't even hit the bottom of the net. Another time he slips down. He's not a good athlete, period. Bottom line, he's not a good athlete at all. But yet he's going to sit there and criticize other people. Now, like I said, it's one thing to say Zion can't do this or Zion can do that. Zion has weight problems he needs to do. But when you get personal like that and say, stop going to McDonald's, you fat guy. I see the fat on him waving when he gets to the free throw line. That's personal, bro. And if I see you out in real life, you're going to see what's personal. I'm going to knock your head off. Period, bottom line. That gets too close. You can't do that. And I think Stephen A. is starting to get where other players and other teams have just about had enough of Stephen A. right here. And ESPN keeps pushing him on everybody, pushing him on. He is a top analyst when it comes to MMA. When has he had an MMA fight? Could he be in an MMA fight now? No. Period. So, I mean, he's number one in NBA, NFL, college, and all that stuff. Come on. Stephen A's got to go. And that attitude that he's got, what he does, is crazy. He's the top-paid guy at ESPN, though, the top-paid guy. And they say he makes the most ratings. Guess how much his ratings was last time? 375,000 people. That's it. ESPN has dropped that fast. 375,000 people watch Stephen A. every day. That's it. Not 1.2 million, not 4 million, 375,000. That's it. That's his latest rating. So, like it or not, ESPN's still paying him, and whatever the deal may be with there. All right, coming back, we'll talk about the Saints. The Saints got to stop their practicing. We'll tell you about that in just a moment when we come back. This is Talking Sports with Chris Powers on Pelican Sports TV.
We already know that TJ Ribs on Acadian and I-10 is home to the world-famous baby back ribs. But did you know they're also champs in catering events and the most delicious wings in Baton Rouge? TJ Ribs wings are flavored to perfection and starts a party in your mouth. Served with homemade wing sauce and ranch dressing. TJ Ribs can also cater any event, large or small, with the MVP, the Heisman, or even if you're feeling the Natty package. Call 225-283-1035. Come enjoy a drink at the 50-foot bar and take a picture with the Heisman Trophy at TJ Ribs, a Baton Rouge original for over 30 years on Acadian and I-10. The 52nd Annual Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival is just around the corner, and the fun begins on Saturday, March 23rd for the Julian Dufresh Strawberry Day in the Park. There'll be a wing cook-off, car show, strawberry auction, bake-off, and more. Plenty of fun for the whole family. Then, the 52nd Annual Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival runs from Friday, April 12th to Sunday, April 14th with live music, and the parade is on Saturday, April 13th. Get involved in the egg toss and the always popular strawberry eating contest. Of course, get the best strawberries in the world, grown by local farmers. The biggest festival in the South, the 52nd Annual Ponchatoula Strawberry Festival, April 12th through 14th. We'll see you there.
We're a nation of hardworking Americans, and businesses will always be the lifeline of this great country. As a business owner, you understand the importance of your reputation. In times of uncertainty, you need a real lawyer who's serious about protecting you and your business. You need a problem solver. You need the law firm of Clayton & Fouget. Tony Clayton is a proven trial lawyer. He'll defend you and your business to the fullest extent of the law. Protect your investment and call the law firm of Clayton and Fouché today.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Talking Sports with me, Chris Powers. And, yeah, we just Alan and them just said they're moving the bullpens, not the dugouts. And I said, I don't know why I said dugouts. Can you imagine each batter having to come from outfield to get there and to get ready to bat? They'd be wore out before they get to the on-deck circle. Yeah, it's the bullpens, and they're going to move the bullpens, and they do that in Omaha. They do that in Major League Baseball. They move it in the outfields, not a problem. If it's on a TV, they may put a camera in there to where you can see a guy warming up. But, as a fan, when you're watching an opposing opposing pitcher warm up, you kind of like to see what he's got. And you sit there, you watch the pitcher more than you watch the game going on sometimes. But at the same time, what that happens is they got a catcher that has to, an extra catcher stands behind the catcher that's warming the pitcher up to make sure that a foul ball is not hit their waist, to protect them and stuff of that nature. So, but this is going to be more space for Alec Box Stadium to put those tables and chairs in the bullpen area, not the dugout, the bullpen area, Chris. This show airs 5 times a week. We love it. Tuesdays at 11 a.m., Thursdays at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m., Fridays at 9 p.m., and Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. You heard the Budweiser already. If you heard that opening top, Alan's already getting the Budweiser out there. Did you hear that pop open already? Also, it's on Cox Cable, which is in the New Orleans area, Baton Rouge, and also Lafayette, and then also in Morgan City on Allen Cable. You can watch it there as well. So we can see it 5 times a week right here. So that's pretty good. So that's a neat deal. And it's seen over about 2 million households. So that's pretty good. And we will get people to know that more and more and more, and we'll grow it more and more as the show will go on. Well, speaking of the New Orleans area, the New Orleans Saints has reworked Derek Carr's contract to save $23 million onto the salary cap for 2024. Some relief came on Friday when the NFL announced that the salary cap for 2024 will be $30.6 million higher. Now we're getting on Jonathan's money now. This is what Jonathan makes per year. $30.6 million higher than in 2023. That's a 14% increase, folks. That's pretty good. The Saints still have less than $40 million to go to get under the SAP calorie by March 13th. Now, 4 players could be tough to do that. Ryan Ramczyk. Question is Ryan Ramczyk going to come back? He's had injuries too much in the last couple of days. There's some people say he's considering retiring. He has $27 million. He counts $27 million of the salary cap this year. But if they rework his contract, they could save $11 million there. Another guy they have to do is Alvin Kamara. And I'm telling you right now, Alvin Kamara is a good player. I love him to death. I wouldn't trade him. I love him coming out of the backfield. He's quick. He makes opposing defensive coordinators crazy, but he's not a number 1 running back. He's not. In 2 seasons, he's had 2 over 100-yard rushes. 2. Is that a number 1 running back to you? Not to me. We need a more consistent running back, a bigger bruiser running back that can go through the A and the B gaps and maybe even sometimes do a sweep. But that needs to change. So Kamara needs to change his salary. They need to cut his salary. Taysom Hill. Some people still hate Taysom Hill. Are you kidding me? Taysom Hill's the only guy. They say, well, Christian McCaffrey doesn't count that much to the cap. Christian McCaffrey can't throw the ball as accurate as Taysom Hill does. I think Taysom Hill should throw the ball more. Now, I don't look at him to be an all-time quarterback. I don't think he should be a full-time quarterback. But I do think that he should throw the ball more because every time he gets into that set, in the shotgun set, more times out of anything, he's running. But let me ask you a question. So a lot of people had questions about the offensive line that may not be good this year, that you didn't have Williams getting past the line, Kamara couldn't get past the line. How come Taysom Hill can get past the line? Taysom Hill got past the line with no problem. He got into the linebacker area, but Kamara and Williams could not. So what is that? Because I think Taysom Hill has an unbelievable vision. He knows where the hole is. You watch him when he stops, and then he goes and finds that vision, that lane, and he's going. He finds a lane that quick, and that's what I love about Taysom Hill. So you better keep Taysom Hill because if you don't, I guarantee you'll be a Bronco tomorrow. He'll be a Denver Bronco guy tomorrow. And for all those haters out there that don't think Taysom Hill's not good, yeah, okay. All right, and then the other one, Michael Thomas. And it's easy for us to say. He counts $12.4 million to the salary cap. And I understand right now. Cut Michael Thomas. I agree. I'm with you. But it won't save the Saints a penny. In fact, it'll cost the Saints a bunch of dead money if they cut Michael Thomas. What they have to do to Michael Thomas is before March 16th or 13th, what they have to do before March 13th is say, okay, we're going to rework your contract. We're going to give you bonus, but yet we're going to be able to cut you or trade you, one of the two. We'll make it easy for us to trade you. That way you can sign with another team with no problem. That's what they're going to have to do. And they'll get cap compliance and, well, not only be able to pay for money in the draft, for the drafts coming in, but also go into the free agent market. But let me tell you this. Somehow, some way, the Saints have got to stop this practice. This is a practice they started doing when Drew Brees was championship caliber quarterback and their team was on the verge of winning a Super Bowl. That year they lost in San Francisco in that playoff game that was absolutely horrific. Minnesota, they lost to them. They lost, of course. They had no chance at Seattle. That team, after they won the Super Bowl, that team didn't want to win that game. But I'm talking about that game in San Francisco, and a lot of people think that was their best team ever. What was it? It wasn't Drew Brees. Someone said it was their best team ever. What was that, Jonathan? 2011. I forgot what player said that was their best team. I mean, I hated when they got rid of Sproles. I hated that. Hated it with a passion. So with that being, that was their best season. So you took that practice back then. You're not on the verge of winning a championship now. You're not. You're not close. You haven't made the playoffs in 3 years. 3 years you haven't made the playoffs. Period. And I don't think it's Derek Carr's a problem like the Saints. What Mickey Loomis said, fans are two things to say quick. It's the coach and the quarterback. That's the two things they blame because that's the laziest thing they can do because they can't look at this. I can watch on TV and know that a lot of the Saints receivers were not in the right place. And then when I went and watched them a couple of times, I watched that Thursday night game against Jacksonville, receivers running the same routes. And one where it was supposed to be a seam pass, a fly pattern, where Olave was going for the fly pattern, and then he stopped. Well, guess what? He wasn't supposed to stop. Carr threw the ball way down the football field and went 20 yards over his head, and then he started yelling at Olave, and that was where the big problem was. It's not Derek Carr, folks. Derek Carr has had the third quarterback in history to get to over 10,000 yards quicker than any other quarterback. Only 3 quarterbacks have done it. Peyton Manning is one of those. Also, he's had the most come-from-behind victories since he's entered the NFL. It's not Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a good passer. I mean, he's not Drew Brees. And, when I went to Saints games and hear the fans talking about, oh, that Brees is wrong, I said, careful what you wish for because when it happens, when Drew Brees is gone, you're going to wish Drew Brees was back. Period. You're going to wish Drew Brees was back. And that's exactly what the Saints fans are going through right now. Derek Carr is not that bad of a quarterback. He finished 7th in quarterback rating last year. Is that bad? Now, in the red zone, they were bad, but it's a lot of coaching. Okay, so if you got a Jimmy Graham on your team, Jonathan, you know a lot about football. You got Jimmy Graham on your team. When you reach the red zone, the 20-yard line, you put Jimmy Graham in on every single play, whether he's a decoy or whether he's going to get the football. I don't understand what the hell they were waiting on. Now he's gone. Now he's going to run some triathlon somewhere. Yeah. I mean, are you kidding? Unbelievable. You put Jimmy Graham in. He's an ex-basketball player. He always skies up and gets it. So I think that's when they decided they were going to keep Jimmy Graham in the preseason when he went up for that last preseason game and stole the ball from a defender. That's what you do. That's what you do. So Jimmy Graham wouldn't go in. So you could hear the crowd yelling and screaming when Jimmy Graham came in the game. Because Jimmy Graham was going in the red zone, but he didn't do it every play. So I blame that on the coaches. Pete Carmichael is gone. He's in Denver. Okay, good riddance. I think he's a good coordinator, good play caller. No. Good situation in situational football during the game. No, he's not. So he's gone, and that's it. The Saints finished 11th in attendance for the last season in the National Football League. 11th. 69,916 fans per ball game. That was good for 11th. Dallas was number 1 at 81,102, while the Raiders were dead last at 65,355. It's not because the Raiders don't have a good fan base. It's because that is a small stadium. That's the fourth largest or smallest stadium in the National Football League. The Saints, I tell you what, the Saints, there were some empty seats a lot this year in the Saints. They got one more year to get this right. And I'm telling you, it's a make-or-break year right here for Dennis Allen. If Dennis Allen and this crew can't turn around, and I think Mickey Loomis as well, if they can't turn around this year, I think you're going to see a big-time revolt from Saints fans. You're not going to be able to put that banner up that says season tickets sold out again this year. Fans have had enough. Think about how much you pay to go to a football game, and you have that product on the field. So I think that their days of selling out football could be getting down if Dennis Allen and the Saints can't turn around. And most people that are predicting for the next year are not predicting the Saints to have a playoff year. But again, I don't go by that because they don't know what's going to happen here and there. Anybody in this room predicted LSU would win the 2019 national champion, become one of the greatest teams in college football? Nobody. Not any LSU fan, I bet, didn't say that. Not one LSU fan thought that 2019 LSU started the season out at 17th. 17th. Nobody thought that they were going to win the national championship and become the greatest college football team ever. And people can say Miami might have been in those years. No. LSU won 7 games out of the top 10. 7. No other team in college football history has done that. Ever. Ever. So there's no question in my mind that LSU was the best team in 2019 of all-time college football. Nobody in the world predicted that. Nobody in the world predicted that. So when I see people coming to me and tell me that the Saints are not going to make the playoffs or that LSU's not going to do this and that, that's just like a guy from Colorado telling me we're going to have 7 hurricanes here in Louisiana this year. What the hell does he know about hurricanes? In Colorado? That'd be like a guy from Louisiana, a Colorado TV station. Hey, let's go down to Louisiana to find out the snow season this year. How can you be able to ski? No, come on, get out of here. Get out of here. When a guy, I never forget that. I picked on Jay Grimes from WAFB on that. I said, Jay, come on. A guy from Colorado don't know how many hurricanes we're going to get here in Louisiana? Come on. No, that guy's good, Chris. I'm telling you. No, okay, well, whatever. So then we don't get it. We don't get hurricanes. And everybody goes crazy and all that kind of good stuff. All right, so again, the Saints did well for season tickets, but they need to do better if they get better product on the field. Hopefully they can this time. Well, that'll do it this week, and we hope that you enjoyed it. We'll be back again next week. We'll have some more guests on the show, and we'll talk more sports with Chris Powers, me. We'll do that coming up right here next week. Until then, I'm Chris Powers saying so long, everybody. Have a great sports week. Go Tigers. Go Southern University. We'll see you next week right here on Pelican Sports TV.